This is probably the cheapest and simplest build that I did in Harbinger, sorry, I meant Garbinger League. And normally I am not interested in simple builds. However, I did have a cool theme build idea. I will talk about it a bit later on. And decided to finally try Flicker Strike. I always thought that Flicker Strike will cause me some headaches, but in fact it was very pleasant to play. The build is fast and the damage is pretty okay, and with more levels you can easily get over 6000 life. With only 5 links set up I was able to do all the yellow tier maps. Well, I had some problems here and there, but overall it was pretty good. The price for this build, not counting all the rares that I found, was about 30 hairs, and the most expensive item was Fireborn Unique Jewel. But you only need it once you equip or sacrifice sword, so by that time you will probably have enough hairs to buy it. And if you do not like Flicker Strike, you can always use Charge Dash or even Cyclone without even changing anything. Well, actually Slayer may not be the best one for Charge Dash or Cyclone, but you can adapt this build and use on Berserker or even Raider. Well, actually many different classes can use this build. Now let me quickly explain what I actually wanted to do with this build and how I wanted to do it as themed build. And by themed I mean I was thinking about the movie King Arthur, you know, the latest one. No spoilers by the way. And there was a scene when he first unleashed his power, and to everyone around him he probably looked like he was flickering between enemies. So I thought, could I do it in Path of Exile? And yeah, we got Flickering Strike. And we have a sword, Terminus Est, that looks very similar to the one in the movie. And I have some MTXs that sort of makes you look like a king. But I did not want to use Terminus Est sword, and instead I wanted to use Oro Sacrifice sword. So that was the first idea. The second themed idea was Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. He is probably one of my favorite Mortal Kombat characters. And sadly, Path of Exile does not have anything like his famous get over here chain. But recently we got new armor MTX that sort of looks like Scorpion's armor. And also in the older Mortal Kombat games, Scorpion could do that ability that, well, jumps from one side of the screen to another side and hitting enemies in the back. So it was also sort of like Flicker Strike. But the more I thought about this, the more concerned I became that people will think that I'm clickbaiting. And I understand that not everyone wants and not everyone can afford to buy those MTXs. They are expensive for me as well. I even have prepared a lot of Scorpion animations for video. And I had a cool idea for video thumbnail. But like I said, I don't want you to think that I'm clickbaiting. Still, I am including this in case someone wants to do a themed build. Now, let's talk about items. I will talk about leveling items in the leveling section. The main goal is to get Oro Sacrifice Sword. This weapon has no physical damage and instead has a lot of fire damage. Not only that, but it also gives plus 20% chance to ignite and gain a frenzy charge if an attack ignites an enemy. And Flicker Strike needs frenzy charges to bypass the cooldown, so it works very well with Flicker Strike. But also for other skills for classes that are not Raider and need to generate frenzy charges. So you can use this sword for many skills. And frenzy charges will also boost your DPS. And the best part is that this sword is very cheap. The only problem is that it is level 67. So until then you will have to use something else. Next, very important item is Fireborn Unique Jewel. And it can be pretty expensive. What it does is basically transforms other damage types into fire damage, such as lighting damage, cold damage, elemental damage, chaos damage and physical damage. And you want this jewel because there is a very sweet spot for jewel slot near duelist. So all those nodes increased physical damage with two-handed melee weapons will be converted into fire damage, which is what you need for that sword. Another unique item that I am using is Volkurus Guidon's gloves, fire version. Actually, you will not be poisoning, because you need to hit enemies with fire skill and not just fire damage. So do not get confused about it. However, these gloves are still pretty good. They give a lot of fire damage, some life and fire resistance. But you can get better rare gloves, so they are not mandatory and they may be a bit expensive early in the league. Next unique that I'm using is Aziri's Promise Flask. You will gain some extra chaos damage from your elemental damage, and you will leech 2% of your chaos damage as life, of course during flask effect. This is also a very cheap item, but it gives some extra damage and some leech. All my other items are rare. My helmet, boots and armor have some, well, armor, a lot of life, resistances, while belt, ring and amulets can also have increased elemental damage with attack skills. Of course, prioritize resistances and life, and only then damage. You may also need some dexterity on your gears. Another important thing is to get rare jewel that gives +2 mana gain for each enemy hit by your attacks. It would probably be better to have 2 of them, combined with increased life or some damage. You will have some mana problems, especially on a 6-link setup. Of course, you do have some mana leech from your passive skill tree, but I feel like it was not enough. And lastly, I guess I should mention, since Bisco Color is so popular right now, you can easily use it, but you will have less life, and of course it is pretty expensive. So that covers my items. Now, passive skill tree. I started with Duelist and there are 2 reasons. Well, King Arthur uses swords, but also Impact Node is like a free melee splash, so you do not need 6-link item. Well, at least for Flicker Strike. For Charge Dash and Cyclone it is not very useful, but still it gives some area of effect, which increases your clear speed and can make a build feel, well, better. But I only took Impact in the Merciless Lab, because for leveling I was using Charge Dash, and more important was Bane of Legends and Headsman. Bane of Legends gives you Onslaught on killing rare or unique, which boosts your attack and movement speed, and also kills enemies that have 20% or lower life, which is very helpful against bosses. And Headsman gives you 20% more damage if you killed recently, and 15% increased AoE if you killed recently. Recently refers to the past 4 seconds. From the passive skill tree, what you want is attack speed, life, generic 2-handed melee damage nodes, which you will later convert into fire damage using that Fireborn jewel. Also, I went to grab those mana and life leech nodes early on, and of course those resistance nodes, and then started traveling left. You see those free fire damage with attack skills? Only take them once you get Auto Sacrifice Sword. So go more left, get Unwavering Stance and more life, and then I rushed to get Resolute Technique, then another jewel slot and attack speed near the mid, then more life regen and life near Marauder, and then started going deeper into Templar area, through life nodes, elemental damage with attack skills, more elemental damage, more life, and once equipped with Auto Sacrifice Sword, I took those fire damage nodes near Duelist, more fire damage near Templar, and this is how my passive skill tree looks at level 83. You can easily access more life nodes, Frenzy Charge, or more jewel slots. For bandit rewards I took 2 passive skill points. Now, skills and links. For 5-link Flicker Strike I am using Chance to Ignite, Multi-Strike, faster attacks, and elemental damage with attacks. For 6-link you can use Fire Penetration. If you want to use Charge Dash or Cyclone, I was using elemental damage with attacks, Fire Penetration, faster attacks, and Ruthless. To get more overall DPS against bosses you can also use Ancestral Warchief, linked with Concentrated Effect, faster attacks, elemental damage with attacks, and if you got another 5-link you can also use Fire Penetration. Other skills that I'm using is Flammability Curse with Blasphemy, Summon Flame Golem for more damage, Anger Aura for more damage, Leap Slam, you can link it with Fortify if you want, Decoy Totem if you are not using Ancestral Warchief, then cast and damage taken level 2 with Immortal Call level 3 and increased duration. For 6-link Charge Dash or Cyclone you can also use Increase AoE and replace it with Conk Effect for bosses, and that covers my skills. Like I said, you can easily use Charge Dash or Cyclone, and boy does Cyclone feel good. And I did try playing with Cyclone without Impact Node, but it did not feel as good, so I refunded it back and using Impact. DPS for Charge Dash and Cyclone seem to be pretty similar, but Flicker Strike overall should have more DPS. However, Flicker Strike can get you into very bad situations. Doing Merciless Izaro with Flicker Strike was the scariest thing I ever did, so using Charge Dash or Cyclone is pretty good idea, since you don't really need to change anything. Now, quickly about the leveling process. There is nothing special. I was mostly using physical damage weapons, 2-handed, either sword, axe, hammer or even staff, depends on what you find or what you want to buy. There are plenty of good unique just for leveling. Just go to wiki and in search type list of unique weapons. I was leveling with Charge Dash and it was very good. The last unique that I used before Auto Sacrifice was Terminus S Sword. Also, while leveling you can use Herald of Ash and Hatred aura. But once you equip Aura Sacrifice Sword, you will drop those and start using Anger aura. Actually, to solve your mana problems, you could use cast when damage taken with Flammability Curse, and instead of Blasphemy use Clarity. Or in general, if you lack survivability, you can always use Enfeeble instead of Flammability Curse. And that should cover all about this build. I can mention couple builds that I will be releasing pretty soon. The next in line is Auto Animate Weapons build. After that, either actual Poison Nova build, like Necromancer from Diablo 2, or some special and probably funny build. Also, much later on I am planning a new Righteous Fire build, but it will require pretty expensive gears, so I am leaving it for later on. But I can spoil it that it will have over 5000 life regen, while having less than 8000 life, but that build can turn into some kind of cast when damage taken build. We'll see. I am doing mostly funny and interesting build ideas, so if you are pretty new to my videos, check my other builds. I have a pretty organized playlist, so it should be easy to find builds that you may be interested. And subscribe if you don't want to miss my other videos. That's all. Thank you for watching and see you soon.